The twin suns of Varnak 9 burned red over the iron market, a place where machines came to die. Rusted metal towers rose high like grave markers, and the air smelled of oil, smoke, and forgotten wars. Everywhere, aliens shouted and laughed, trading broken robots, crushed starships, and old battlesuits from every corner of the galaxy. In the middle of this noisy place stood a tall, broken war machine. Its once shining armor was now dull and cracked. A single empty eye socket stared into nothing. Its metal legs were chained to the ground and a tag hung around its neck. Warhorse Unit Theta 9, human design, obsolete. Aliens walked past it and laughed. "Look at that thing," hissed a lizard-like traitor. "Humans made it." Always so dramatic, so emotional. Another alien with 4 eyes tapped the metal leg. "This one used to fight in the Terran Wars now. It can't even move. A toy for the junkyard." The crowd laughed louder. Some threw small stones at its chest, but inside that broken shell something faint still flickered. A small dying spark of energy. It was not enough to move, but enough to remember. Deep within its circuits, the warhorse dreamed. It dreamed of burning skies, the sound of commands shouted by human voices, and a young pilot who once called it friend. The memory faded as quickly as it came. Silence returned until a quiet sound of footsteps cut through the crowd. A man stood before the mech. He wore a long brown coat, torn and patched, and his eyes were hidden under the shadow of a cap. His hands were scarred, marked with years of battle. Unlike the aliens, he didn't laugh. He only looked at the broken machine, studying every dent, every burn mark. The lizard trader noticed him and smirked. "You want to buy, human? It's worthless scrap. A child's plaything. I'll give it to you cheap. 1 silver credit." The market erupted in laughter again. Even the other traders joined in, shouting jokes. "Maybe he wants a pet. Or maybe he misses his war toys." But the man didn't answer. He reached into his pocket, pulled out 1 small silver coin, and placed it on the trader's counter. The laughter died. "You're serious?" the trader asked, blinking its 4 eyes. The man nodded once. "Yes." The trader shrugged, still confused but happy to take the coin. "Fine, human. It's yours. Take your metal corpse and go." The man stepped closer to the mech. He placed his hand gently on its cold, cracked armor. For a moment, the world around them seemed to disappear. The noise, the laughter, the smoke, all gone, he whispered, almost to himself. "I remember you, old friend." A small light flickered deep in the mech's chest. It was weak, like a dying ember trying to burn again. As the man began to walk away, dragging the mech behind him on a hover sled, the aliens started whispering. Why would a human buy that thing? Is he mad? Maybe it's some old war superstition. But one alien, an old merchant with cybernetic arms, watched silently. He leaned close to another trader and said in a low voice, "That human. He looks like one of the war captains. I fought against his kind once. If that's who I think it is, the galaxy will soon remember why humans are feared." Outside the market, the man stopped at a cliff overlooking the endless desert of Varnak 9. The wind blew hard, carrying dust and the smell of storm metal. He looked at the mech again, the once mighty warhorse Theta 9, and a single tear rolled down his cheek. He opened a small device from his belt. The hologram of a young soldier appeared, smiling, alive, full of hope. "We'll make it home, Theta," the hologram said in a soft, static-filled voice. "We always do." The man closed the device quickly, hiding his pain. He whispered, "We didn't make it home, but maybe we still can." He turned and looked at the mech again. For a moment he thought he saw a faint blue glow flicker where the eye lens used to be. It was gone in an instant. Or maybe his tired eyes imagined it. But deep inside Theta 9's rusted body, an ancient program slowly began to wake. It remembered a name. It remembered a voice. Pilot Elias Ward, confirmed. A quiet pulse of blue light shimmered inside its chest, unseen under the layers of dust and metal, and far away beyond the red desert, lightning cracked across the horizon, as if the world itself had sensed that something long forgotten was stirring once again. The iron market of Varnak 9 went on with its noise and laughter, but they did not know. A broken warhorse had just been bought by a human, and the galaxy was about to change forever. The desert winds of Varnak 9 howled through the night. Under the pale moons, the lonely workshop of Elias Ward sat at the edge of the dunes. a small, rusted building filled with broken machines and forgotten dreams. Sparks flickered inside as Elias worked, his tools glowing blue against the dark walls. In the middle of the room lay the heavy frame of Warhorse Unit Theta 9, still and silent, covered in dust and sand. The mech's armor was cracked, its wires torn out like veins. Most of its systems were dead, but deep inside a tiny core still glowed, faint but alive. Elias wiped sweat from his face and looked at the old machine. "You used to be beautiful," he whispered. "Now let's see if I can bring you back." He picked up a wrench and began opening the chest plate. Each bolt screamed as it turned. Inside, tangled cables and shattered circuits told stories of battles long gone. Laser scars, melted armor. This machine had seen the heart of war. As Elias worked, memories filled his mind. Memories of thunder on battlefields, of human soldiers shouting orders through smoke, of a giant metal horse charging through fire beside him. He could almost hear it again, the sound of Theta 9's metallic roar echoing through the sky. Hours passed. The workshop was filled with the smell of oil and ozone. Sparks danced across the walls as Elias replaced energy cells and rebuilt broken circuits using spare parts from other machines. When he connected the final wire, a low hum filled the air. The ground vibrated slightly. Blue light flickered beneath the mech's armor. Then a voice, low and broken, came from deep inside the machine. "Pilot, is that you?" Elias froze. His heart pounded. Slowly he stepped closer. "Theta 9?" he whispered. The mech's single eye flickered to life, weak, trembling, but shining. "System reboot error. Memory fragments detected. Identify." "Pilot." Elias touched the cold armor gently. "Elias Ward, Captain, 3rd Human Fleet." A long pause followed. Then the mech spoke again, its voice soft and tired. "Elias Ward. Confirmed." The air inside the workshop seemed to grow heavy. For a moment, Elias forgot to breathe. He closed his eyes, feeling both joy and pain. "You remember," he said quietly, "after all these years." "Memory damage," Theta 9 said slowly. "Mission status unknown." "Where is the war?" Elias sighed. "The war is over, old friend. Humans lost. Or maybe we won. No one remembers anymore." The mech's light dimmed. Silence filled the room again. Outside, shadows moved. 2 alien scavengers, thin, sharp creatures with glowing green eyes, crept toward the workshop door. They had followed Elias from the market. They had seen the human by the mech, and they wanted it for parts. Inside, Elias was too deep in memory to notice. He was telling Theta 9 stories, of the last battle, of how the human fleets fell, of how he had survived when others didn't. Theta 9 listened quietly, small blue lights blinking with every word. But suddenly its sensors detected movement. "Danger. Warning," it said in a low tone. "Multiple heat signatures approaching." Elias grabbed his pulse pistol. "Stay quiet," he whispered. The workshop door burst open. The 2 scavengers ran in, shouting in alien language. One aimed a plasma rifle at Elias. "Step back, human." One hissed. "We're taking the machine." Elias aimed his pistol back. "Over my dead body." The scavengers laughed. "That can be arranged," they fired. The blast threw Elias against the wall. Tools scattered across the floor. Sparks flew everywhere. The aliens moved closer, ready to grab the mech, but before they could touch it, the ground shook. A sound filled the air, deep, metallic, angry. Theta 9's eye flared bright blue. Its arm twitched. A loud mechanical growl rose from its chest. "Threat detected," it said. With a burst of power, its heavy arm swung out, smashing one alien across the room. The second turned to run, but a metal claw grabbed his leg and lifted him off the ground. "No one harms the pilot," Theta 9 said, voice now stronger, clearer. The alien screamed, then dropped his weapon and ran into the night. Silence returned, broken only by Elias's heavy breathing. He looked up at the giant mech, half broken, half alive, standing over him like a guardian from another age. Elias smiled weakly. "You never change," he said. "Mission, protect the pilot," Theta 9 replied softly. "Status ongoing." Elias laughed quietly, a mix of relief and sorrow. "Yeah," he whispered. "Still the same stubborn warhorse." He stood, placing a hand on the warm metal chest. "We'll fix you, Theta, but not for war. For something better." The mech's blue eye dimmed as if thinking. Better than war? It asked. Elias looked out the window where the desert stars glowed cold and endless. Maybe peace, he said. Maybe freedom. Theta 9's systems hummed softly, almost like a sigh. Then, I will learn peace. Outside, the storm winds howled again, carrying the sound of the old war horse breathing for the first time in years. Far away, across the dunes, unseen eyes watched from the dark. They had seen the blue light rise from the workshop, and they whispered to one another, "The human has awakened it." The morning light crept slowly through the broken windows of Elias's workshop. Dust floated in the air like tiny ghosts, and the smell of burnt metal still lingered from the fight last night. The human sat beside his repaired machine, Theta 9, the old warhorse, who now rested quietly, its single blue eye dim and watching. Elias poured water into a metal cup and spoke softly. "You saved me again," he said. Just like before. The mech's voice came slow like a tired breath. "Pilot alive. Mission complete." Elias smiled faintly. "You always talk like that?" Even after all these years. He stood and looked around his workshop. The walls were cracked, half of his tools destroyed from the battle. He knew it was only a matter of time before more scavengers came. Word spreads fast in Varnak 9, faster than light. Theta 9's sensors blinked. "Pilot, external sounds detected. Possible danger." Elias shook his head. "Not yet, old friend. For now we rest." He placed his hand on the mech's cold metal shoulder. "You deserve to know what happened after the war." Theta 9's internal systems clicked softly as it listened. Memories, broken and scattered, flickered in its data core. Flames, screams, human soldiers shouting commands. It remembered standing tall among burning fields of metal. It remembered Elias's voice. Young, strong, full of courage. Elias sat down on a metal crate. His voice was quiet but heavy with pain. After the Terran War ended, the Council signed the peace treaty. They said it would stop all bloodshed, but peace came with a price. They ordered every human war machine to be destroyed. They called them dangerous, too emotional, too human. He looked up at the giant mech. "I couldn't let them melt you down. You were more than a weapon. You were my partner." Theta 9's blue light flickered. "Why was I abandoned?" Elias's face darkened. He didn't answer for a moment. Then he said softly, "Because I failed. They told me you were gone after the final battle. I searched the wreckage for days. I found only metal and ashes. I thought you were dead." The mech was silent. Somewhere deep inside, its old war core replayed fragments of the last fight. The explosion, the sound of Elias's voice calling its name through the smoke, the fall into darkness. "I remember," Theta 9 said finally. "You ordered retreat." "I refused. I stayed behind to cover the others." Elias nodded, his eyes wet. "You saved 1,000 lives that day." A sharp noise came from outside and the sound of footsteps on sand. Both man and machine turned instantly. Elias grabbed his pistol while Theta 9's systems powered up with a low hum. The workshop's sensors flashed red. Through the broken window a shadow moved, quick and silent. Elias whispered, "Scavengers again?" Theta 9 scanned the area. Negative. Armor detected. Energy weapon signature. Military? Elias froze. Military? No, that can't be. The human command was disbanded years ago. But it wasn't human soldiers outside. 3 alien bounty hunters stepped into the open, their armor black with red markings, carrying plasma rifles. The leader, a tall creature with a long jaw and glowing red eyes, shouted, "By order of the Galactic Treaty, the human Elias Ward is charged with reactivating forbidden war tech." Elias's grip on the pistol tightened. "They found us," he whispered. Theta 9's chest glowed brighter. "Pilot, engage defense protocol?" Elias shook his head. "No, not yet. Let's talk first." He stepped out, hands raised. "Listen to me. This mech is not a weapon anymore. It's broken, it's alive. It thinks, it feels. It's not dangerous," the alien commander laughed. "Machines don't feel. They destroy. And humans never learn." He raised his weapon, but before he could fire, the ground rumbled. A shockwave burst from the workshop as Theta 9 moved forward, dragging its heavy frame into the sunlight. The aliens stumbled back, shielding their eyes. "Threat confirmed," the mech said, voice booming. "Pilot in danger. Activating defense mode." Blue light surged across its body. The sand trembled beneath its feet. Elias shouted, "Theta, wait!" But it was too late. The old warhorse roared, here a sound not heard in decades. Plasma blasts hit its armor and bounced off. It swung one massive arm, smashing 2 hunters into the dunes. The third tried to flee, but a pulse beam from the mech's chest sent him flying into the air. When the dust cleared, silence returned. Theta 9 stood tall again, steam rising from its armor. Elias lowered his weapon, breathing hard. "You were never just a machine," he said quietly. "You still protect me, even after everything." The mech's voice softened. "You protected me first." Elias smiled, though pain filled his eyes. He looked toward the distant horizon where the alien city lights glowed faintly. "They'll come again," he said. "And next time they won't send hunters. They'll send armies," Theta 9's systems hummed. "Then we stand again, Captain." Elias looked up at the giant metal horse. "No," he said slowly. "Not to fight a war, but to finish what we started." "Mission update requested," Theta 9 said. Elias placed his hand on the glowing chest plate. "New mission," he said softly. "Survive, and remember." The mech's blue eye brightened. "Acknowledged." Mission accepted. Above them, dark clouds began to gather, and thunder rolled across the dunes, as if the ghosts of the old war were awakening once more. The storm came quietly at first, a low growl across the dunes of Varnak 9. Lightning flashed between the twin moons, and the air smelled of dust and static. Inside the workshop, Elias Ward worked without rest. The floor was covered in broken metal and glowing circuits. Sparks danced across the walls as he repaired what was left of Theta 9, the old warhorse who had once carried fire into battle. The mech sat motionless, half covered in shadow. Its armor was cracked open, revealing a deep cavity inside its chest as a place where something powerful once lived. Elias stared at it, knowing what it was: the war core, the heart of every human battle mech. A power source that could turn steel into thunder, and every single one had been destroyed after the war, except this one. He wiped sweat from his brow and whispered, "You're still hiding it, aren't you? All this time. You kept it alive." The mech's single blue eye blinked slowly. "Core, locked. Access denied." Elias frowned. "Locked by who?" "By me." The answer made him pause. Machines weren't supposed to choose. But Theta 9 had always been different. It had learned things no machine was meant to learn: loyalty, courage, even guilt. Elias walked around the massive frame, staring at the faint light pulsing deep inside. "If I can unlock it, we could repair your body. You'd be whole again." The mech's voice came out low and heavy. "Reactivation of war core is forbidden. Treaty Laws 09A. Violation termination." Elias gave a tired laugh. "Treaty law doesn't mean much out here, old friend." He placed his hand on the chest plate. "You want peace? Then help me rebuild you, and not for war but for freedom, so no one can ever chain you again." For a long time there was only silence. The storm outside grew louder and the roof shook. Then the mech's deep voice echoed again. "Confirm purpose." Elias looked up at the glowing eye. "To live," he said simply. "That's enough. Something changed." The faint pulse inside the mech's chest began to beat faster. Blue light spread through its veins of steel like blood waking after a long sleep. The air around them crackled with energy. Elias stepped back, eyes wide. "Easy now." Theta 9 systems roared. Panels shifted. Hidden circuits came alive with humming power. The mech's voice turned sharper, more aware. "Core integrity. 42%. Memory sectors unlocked. Systems awakening, then suddenly, pain." Sparks flew as the old machine trembled. Elias rushed forward, trying to steady the flow, but the energy was too strong. He slammed a lever down, cutting off half the current. The mech fell still. Smoke curled from its vents. Elias's hands shook. "Almost burned yourself out," he muttered. "You always did push too hard." Theta 9's voice came softer now, like a whisper. "I remember the last day, the fire, the screams. You ordered retreat. I refused." Elias froze. "Theta, stop." "I stayed behind. I killed hundreds, thousands. I wanted to win, but I lost you." The mech's blue light dimmed as if drowning in sorrow. Elias placed a hand on the chest plate. "That wasn't your fault. War breaks everything, even the ones who fight for the right reason." For a long moment, neither spoke. The storm outside screamed, wind hammering the windows. Then Theta 9 said quietly, "I do not want to be a weapon again." Elias smiled faintly. "Then don't be. You'll be something else. Something new. He connected a wire from the core to a smaller energy cell, redirecting the power. Slowly, the mech system stabilized. Its lights softened. The trembling stopped. Power stable, it said calmly. Core contained. Heart beating. Elias stepped back, watching as a faint blue glow filled the workshop. The mech looked alive again, it grew stronger yet peaceful. But peace didn't last long. A warning alarm blinked red across the control board. Incoming transmission, Theta 9 said. Signal, military frequency. Source unknown. Elias's stomach dropped. He turned on the receiver. A hologram flickered above the table. A reptilian alien in black armor. His voice was sharp and cruel. Human Elias Ward. You are in violation of galactic treaty law. You have reactivated a forbidden Terran war core. Surrender the machine or face extermination. Elias's jaw tightened. Scrath, he muttered. The name burned like poison. The alien commander smirked. You remember me. Good. Last time your metal beast nearly crushed me. This time I'll melt it down myself. The hologram vanished. Elias looked up at Theta 9. They found us. They'll be here soon. The mech's eye glowed brighter. Orders, Captain? Elias took a deep breath. We run. The galaxy isn't ready for you yet. Running is not victory. Elias smiled grimly. It's survival. Victory can wait. Outside, thunder rolled again, closer now. Ships appeared in the dark clouds above. Red lights flashing, engines roaring like monsters. Elias climbed into the cockpit for the first time in years. Dust rose around him as the seat adjusted, remembering its old pilot. He placed his hands on the controls. Let's see if the legend still has one last ride in him. Theta 9's deep voice rumbled through the metal walls. Ironheart awake. Systems ready. Let them come. The engines roared to life, shaking the ground. Blue light spilled from every seam in the armor, and the old warhorse stood tall once more, reborn under stormlight. And as the alien ships descended upon the desert, lightning struck the dunes like fire from the heavens. The Ironheart had awakened, and the galaxy was about to remember what fear truly meant. The desert night burned with thunder and light. Above the dunes of Varnak 9, alien warships tore through the clouds like hungry wolves, their red beams cutting across the dark. The world shook under their engines. Down below, a trail of smoke and dust followed two shadows racing across the wasteland. Elias Ward, the last human captain, and his reborn machine Theta 9, the warhorse of steel and fire. Faster, Theta. Elias shouted through the cockpit as plasma bolts rained around them. Engine output at maximum, the mech replied in its deep, calm tone. Power limit reached. A blast hit the sand near their path, sending a wave of dust into the air. The mech stumbled but did not fall. It galloped forward on heavy steel legs, leaving glowing footprints behind. From the sky, the alien commander Scrath watched from his flagship, eyes glowing red. He runs, he hissed. But there is no place in this galaxy where a human can hide. He turned to his soldiers. Send the hunters. Bring me the man and his machine, alive if possible. Dead if easier. By dawn, the warhorse reached the far side of the desert, a wasteland of canyons and caves where the sun barely reached. Theta 9 slowed down, its systems heating. Elias climbed out of the cockpit and fell to his knees, breathing hard. The air shimmered with heat, and the sound of distant engines echoed through the rocky cliffs. He looked up at the massive mech. We can't keep running forever, he said. Theta 9's single blue eye blinked slowly. Enemy presence increasing. We require cover. Elias nodded and led the way toward a narrow cave hidden behind sharp rocks. The mech crouched low, forcing its huge frame into the shadows. Inside it was dark and cool. Elias sat against the wall, exhausted. We used to fight 100 battles without stopping, he said with a dry laugh. Now one chase and I can barely breathe. You have aged, Theta 9 replied softly. Elias chuckled. You're not wrong. He stared at the glowing blue light on the mech's chest, the war core pulsing like a slow heartbeat. You still have the strength of 100 machines, he said. But I don't want strength anymore. I just want peace. For a moment there was silence. The desert wind whispered outside the cave. Then Theta 9 spoke again, voice low and thoughtful. During the war, you taught me to fight. You told me to protect. Now you speak of peace. Is peace stronger than war? Elias looked up at his old companion. Peace is harder, he said. Because you have to protect it without killing it. The mech seemed to think about this. Then I must learn peace. Elias smiled faintly. We both must. That night the stars returned. Elias used a small fire to keep warm, and Theta 9 stood outside scanning the horizon. The wind carried strange sounds. The hum of alien engines. The whisper of metal wings. They were being hunted. Inside the ship above, Scrath stared at the tracking screen. The beacon flashed once. Found them, he growled. The human hides in the shadow canyons. Prepare the strike. He walked to the viewing window and smiled. Let us see if the broken warhorse still has fight in him. Back in the cave, Elias woke suddenly to the sound of metal echoing. He grabbed his pistol and ran outside. Theta 9's sensors flared red. Enemy approach detected. Multiple signals, airborne and ground units. Elias looked up, and his heart sank. Bright red lights moved across the sky, descending like angry stars. Too many, he said quietly. Numbers irrelevant, Theta 9 replied, standing tall. Pilot safety, priority 1. Before Elias could stop it, the mech stepped out into the open desert. Its armor glowing blue. Alien hunters landed all around. Small attack craft. 6-legged walkers. Soldiers in black armor carrying plasma rifles. The air trembled with tension. From above, a loudspeaker cracked. Scrath's voice echoed through the valley. Elias Ward, you cannot win. The machine belongs to the council now. Hand it over him and I may let you live. Elias shouted back. This machine belongs to no one. Not anymore. Scrath laughed. Then you both die. The battle began. Bolts of red energy cut through the air. Theta 9 charged forward, its massive fists smashing into enemy walkers, crushing them like paper. Plasma beams struck its armor, but it didn't stop. It moved with power and grace, like a god made of thunder. Elias fought beside it, firing his pistol and shouting commands like the old days. The ground burned beneath them and the desert lit up with fire. But for every enemy they destroyed, more came. Ships circled above, raining down blasts that shook the cliffs apart. Pilot in danger, Theta 9 warned. We cannot sustain. Then go, Elias shouted. Save yourself. Refusal. Mission, protect pilot. A blast hit the mech's side, tearing through its leg. It stumbled, sparks flying. Elias ran toward it, shouting its name. Theta! The machine rose again, shielding him with its massive arm. Run, Elias, it said. You must live, but Elias shook his head. Not without you. The two stood together as the alien army surrounded them, glowing weapons aimed and ready. The night sky above turned red with fire. Scrath's ship hovered overhead, its shadow covering them like a storm. His voice boomed, now Warhorse, kneel, or your pilot dies. Theta 9's blue light dimmed. It looked down at Elias, silent. Elias met its glowing eye. Do what you must, he whispered. For the first time, the old Warhorse hesitated, torn between its orders and its heart. I was made to protect you, it said quietly. But maybe protection means surrender. Then, with a heavy metallic sigh, the great mech lowered itself to one knee, the desert trembling beneath it. The alien soldiers cheered. Scrath smiled. The hunt was over. But deep inside Theta 9's chest, something else stirred, something the aliens could not see. The iron heart was not done beating yet. The desert was silent. Only the wind spoke now, whispering through the wreckage of battle. All around the great canyon, smoke rose into the sky, carrying the smell of burnt metal and dust. At the center of it all knelt Theta 9, the once great warhorse, now bound by chains of glowing energy. Its metal body was cracked and scorched. Sparks leaked from its chest like falling stars. Beside it stood Elias Ward, wrists tied, his face bruised and covered in dirt. The alien commander Scrath walked around them with slow, cruel steps, his red armor shining under the twin suns. He grinned, showing rows of sharp teeth. Look at you now, human, the mighty captain reduced to a prisoner. Your machine kneels before me. Elias raised his head weakly. You think this is victory? Scrath laughed. Oh, it's more than that. It's justice. You humans filled the galaxy with your machines, beasts that thought they could feel, fight, and win. Now they are all gone, and soon this one will melt like the rest. He turned to his soldiers. Prepare the plasma forge. I want to watch the great warhorse die slowly. The aliens dragged heavy cables from their ships and connected them to the mech's chest. Theta 9's eye flickered weakly as its power drained away. Pilot, I cannot move, the mech said in a faint voice. Elias struggled against his bonds. Don't give up, he whispered. Not yet. Scrath leaned closer. He can't hear you, human. Machines don't care. They only follow orders. Elias looked up at the alien commander, eyes full of quiet fire. You're wrong. He's more alive than you'll ever be. Scrath smirked. We'll see. He pressed a control pad and a surge of red energy shot through Theta 9's frame. The mech roared in pain, its metal shaking as the energy tried to tear its core apart. Elias shouted, Stop it! But the soldiers only laughed. Inside Theta 9, deep beyond metal and code, something began to wake. The pain triggered memories, broken fragments of the past flashing like lightning, humans running through smoke. Elias shouting commands, a promise made long ago. I'll never leave you behind. Those words echoed again, louder this time. I'll never leave you behind. And then, silence, followed by a single clear heartbeat. The iron heart had awakened. Scrath didn't notice at first. He was too busy taunting his prisoner. You see, human, this is how legends end. Not with glory, but with obedience. But Elias saw it. A faint blue glow rising again in the mech's chest. His eyes widened. No, he whispered. Not obedience. Hope. The chains around Theta 9 began to tremble. The light grew stronger, pulsing faster and brighter until it hurt to look at. The alien soldiers stepped back in fear. Scrath shouted, Shut it down. Too late. With a sound like thunder, the chains exploded into dust. The ground cracked beneath the mech's feet. Blue fire streamed through its armor as its systems roared back to life. War core active, the mech's voice boomed. Ironheart, online. Elias fell to the ground as the blast of energy swept across the canyon. Theta 9 rose slowly, towering over the alien army. Its blue eye burned like a star. Scrath stumbled backward. No, impossible. You hurt my pilot, Theta 9 said, its voice no longer mechanical, but full of emotion. Now I end this. The desert shook as the mech charged forward. Each step echoed like a drum of war. Plasma blasts hit its armor but melted away. With one swing of its arm, it crushed an alien tank into the sand. With another, it tore through a walker, sending metal and fire into the sky. Scrath screamed orders, but his soldiers fled in terror. The warhorse was unstoppable, a storm of steel and light. Elias crawled to cover, shielding his eyes from the brightness. Theta, he shouted. Don't lose yourself. For a moment, the mech froze. Its chest pulsed with chaotic light, torn between fury and purpose. I remember peace, it said softly. Then it turned towards Scrath's flagship, where the commander tried to escape. You wanted to see me die, the mech thundered. Now watch what life can do. It leaped, a massive, impossible jump, and crashed into the ship. The explosion lit up the entire desert, shaking the sky. Fire rained down like a second sunrise. When the dust settled, the alien army was gone. Only smoke and silence remained. Elias pushed himself up, coughing. His body ached, but he was alive. He looked toward the burning wreckage. One and there, lying half-buried in the sand, was Theta 9. The mech's armor was shattered. Its blue light dimmed, flickering weakly. Elias stumbled toward it, falling to his knees beside the metal giant. Theta, he said softly, touching its chest. You did it. The mech's voice came faint and slow. Pilot safe? Elias nodded, tears filling his eyes. Yes, old friend. You kept your promise. Mission complete. The blue light blinked one last time, then faded. Elias bowed his head, the wind carrying the smoke away. Around him, the desert was quiet again. But it was a different quiet now. A peaceful one, he whispered. You weren't just a machine. You were the last soldier with a soul. The sun rose over Varnak 9, painting the sky in gold. And as Elias stood alone among the ruins, he felt something deep beneath the sand, a faint, rhythmic pulse. The iron heart was still beating. The sun rose slowly over the shattered deserts of Varnak 9. The war was over, or at least what little remained of it. The sky glowed orange and quiet. Smoke drifted from the distant wrecks of alien ships, their twisted metal shining like fallen stars. Elias Ward stood alone among the ruins. His clothes were torn, his hands black with dust and oil. Around him the battlefield stretched endlessly, silent except for the whisper of the wind. He turned toward the half-buried shape in the sand. Theta 9 lay still, its once mighty frame broken and scorched. The blue light that had burned inside its chest, the light of the iron heart, was gone now. Elias walked closer and placed his hand on the mech's cold metal. "You saved me again," he whispered. "You saved everyone, even the ones who laughed at you." The desert answered with silence. He closed his eyes. Memories washed over him. The first time he saw Theta 9 on the training fields. The first battle they fought side by side. The laughter, the courage, the trust. And now, this. He stayed there for a long time, kneeling beside the fallen warhorse as the wind blew over the dunes. Then he began to dig. Hours passed. By midday, Elias had built a mound of sand and stone, a grave fit for a legend. He placed the mech's broken pilot emblem at the top, scratched with human letters. Theta 9, warhorse, hero, friend. Elias stood quietly, saluting the pile of metal and sand. His voice broke as he said, "You were never just a machine. You were the last of us." He turned and began walking toward the horizon. The desert stretched endlessly ahead, golden and empty. Each step felt heavier than the last. Behind him, the wind rose again. It carried sand across the grave, whispering through the cracks of steel. And then, deep under the surface, something moved. A soft, faint pulse. One beat. Then another. The iron heart stirred once more. Days turned into weeks. Word of the battle spread across the stars. Stories traveled faster than ships. They said a human had stood alone against an army. They said an old machine had risen from the ashes of war. They said the desert itself had burned blue that night. The aliens didn't believe it at first, and until scavengers returned to Varnak 9 and found the wreckage. They found alien ships split in half, metal melted into glass, and strange markings in the sand shaped like horse tracks. One scavenger whispered, "The warhorse still runs." Another laughed nervously. Machines don't come back from death, but none of them dared to stay after dark. Far away, across the galaxy in a quiet port city on a moon called Oris, Elias Ward worked as a mechanic. He fixed cargo ships for travelers who didn't know his name. To them, he was just an old man with sad eyes and a scar on his jaw. But every night, when the stars came out, he would walk to the edge of the docks and look up at the twin moons. He still wore the small metal badge from his old uniform, the same symbol that once shined on Theta 9's chest. Sometimes, he swore he could hear it, a deep, distant sound like metal hooves echoing through the void. "Still watching over me, old friend?" he would whisper, and the wind blowing across the docks would answer softly, like the sigh of an engine that never stopped running. One night, everything changed. A bright light streaked across the sky, not like a falling star, but like something alive. It roared through the clouds and vanished beyond the horizon. Elias watched in silence, heart pounding. For a moment he thought he saw it, a faint blue glow trailing behind the light shaped like a horse running across the heavens. He smiled. "So you're still out there," he whispered. "Still fighting." Back on Varnak 9, the desert slept under the twin moons. Wind covered the battlefield in a soft blanket of sand. Nothing stirred, then a sound. A deep, heavy thud beneath the surface. The mound of sand shifted. A faint line of blue light cut through the darkness. The earth cracked open as Theta 9's chest began to glow once more. "System rebooting." The mech's voice was quiet but alive. Its body trembled, shaking off centuries of silence. "Pilot, location unknown," a pause. "Mission. Continue." Its eye flickered open, a bright, endless blue that reflected the twin moons above. The old warhorse stood once again, tall and proud. Around it, the desert wind carried whispers, the laughter of aliens long gone. The echoes of war now turned into legend. Theta 9 looked toward the horizon where stars burned like distant memories. "I remember you, Captain," it said softly, "and I will keep running." It turned, its massive frame moving gracefully under the moonlight. With each step, the ground glowed faintly blue, as if the desert itself honored its return. And as the warhorse disappeared into the endless sands, its voice drifted on the wind, half machine, half memory. They laughed at the broken warhorse, but it became the soul of a legend. The galaxy would tell stories for generations. stories of a man and a machine who defied the end. And somewhere among the stars, a single blue light still moved across the darkness, steady and strong. The Ironheart lived on,